I'm Robert Scoble. You know, I'm really interested in wearable computers like this Google Glass. Well, there's a whole lot of vertical markets that are coming up. We've already talked to the guys from Recon Instruments who make the Oakley Airwave ski goggle computer and their own jet sunglasses. And today we're seeing inside the helmet of Skully, which is making a little wearable computer inside a motorcycle helmet. And we're going to find out why you need one of those right now. Who are you?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm Marcus Weller, founder and CEO of Skully Helmets. And a little bit about my background is that I started as an industrial psychologist. So I did my PhD back in Detroit in Wayne State. And I've always been kind of interested in automotive. Even as an undergrad, I was doing some research on intelligent transportation systems.
Yep.
And it was a really exciting time because I learned about human factors, and that's really become this really interesting sort of space as of late with wearable computing coming online so strongly and all the optimism around it. It's really what you're seeing is this sort of divergence of companies that really get it in terms of human factors and the companies that don't. And the ones that do, they really have this utilitarian sort of mindset, and they say, is this solving a real problem for the user? And when it does, they're able to generate real value.
I've noticed that both Oakley and Smith are using the Recon Instruments in a ski goggle, and it sort of makes sense, right? If you're going to spend $350 on a ski goggle, spending $650 and getting all these new features, like it shows you how fast you're going, where you are on the mountain and stuff like that, makes a lot of sense. Is that the same case for motorcyclists?
It's a similar thing, but the issue is that motorcycle helmets for about the last 4 decades have been foam and plastic shells, and really that's what they've remained. And now we're at a place where we can actually transform the functionality of it. It's not just for protecting your head from hitting pavement anymore when you get in an accident. It actually has the potential to prevent the accident in the first place. And as wearable tech innovators, it's sort of our imperative to deliver technology that can actually save lives.
So a normal helmet is what, $300 to $800, something like that?
Yeah, you're between $300 and $800 for your premium helmet. Depending on how much you value your head, it could be on the higher end of that.
Right. And how much does a Skully helmet add on, or how much does a Skully helmet cost?
So we haven't set the price yet. We're going to be releasing in spring. Our beta testers will know soon. We've had 35,000 applications for our beta testing program. And so we'll be releasing information and qualifying those beta testers in the next couple of months.
So you're not just putting a little Google Glass in the helmet and calling it a day. What does the Skully helmet do for a motorcycle rider?
So it actually, the first thing I think the most important use case is it has a 180-degree viewing angle rear view camera. So that allows you to see, everything in front of you, of course, but to the sides and back as well, all at the same time. And it's rendered on a transparent display that's right down.
Do we have a video of what it looks like? I forget what you brought.
I think we do, yeah.
So what are we seeing demoed here?
So this is actually, you're going to see
Skully.
When you first turn it on, it'll just give you some basic weather information. That's going to let you know if it's going to rain on you while you're riding. And so that's just designed, what does a rider want to know? Now you're seeing the rear view camera, and this is just showing you what's going on behind you. The rider has just given a voice command to listen to some music, so the music will come up. It's all voice control.
Light traffic ahead.
So you'll be able to have a natural
Turn left
interface with
here.
talking to a person. And so you'll see
Call
there,
from
you see,
Sarah.
arrows that'll come
Continue
up,
straight on
and that gives you
Market.
turn-by-turn
Turn
GPS
right.
navigation. Those are really the 2 core killer apps, is having GPS navigation and a rear view camera that gives you a really wide angle. And then of course there are other apps that people will be able to develop on our SDK.
Do you have a front-facing camera too? Because a lot of people are putting GoPros on their motorcycle helmets or on their bike themselves.
Yeah. This first version is really around situational awareness. What I can say though about that, without spilling the beans too much, is that we've built a very flexible platform, and so we're able to integrate a multitude of sensors to this platform. And front-facing camera is certainly something that we're considering.
Are you considering different packages for racing bikes? Because Rocky and I went out to MotoGP and watched Valentino Rossi win a couple of races.
Cool.
And their bikes are fully instrumented. They have a lot of sensors on their bikes, and they know exactly where they are on the track. So I imagine having that kind of information for a racer would make a big deal. And plus, those guys are far more willing to spend an extra $500 on a helmet.
Right. Or more, we actually are talking to both Harley-Davidson as well as Ducati about sensor integration into the motorcycle. So it's a very important thing for us, is to be able to take that information from the ECU or the control unit and render that on the heads-up display in ways that are very simplified and very intuitive, and they help the rider just do whatever it is, their diversion activity better, or their job, if in the case of MotoGP. Yeah,
you're wearing a Pebble watch, so I have a feeling you have a sense of what else is happening in the wearable space, and how does that affect the motorcycle rider? We all are carrying iPhones or Android phones, right? What's your philosophy on how the personal cloud is going to evolve for a motorcycle rider?
Well, I think it's becoming almost commonplace that yes, we have technology. It's small enough, it's light enough, it's efficient enough that we can carry it around with us. And now we're starting to wonder, well, I have these pain points. I have these things that are actual, real problems. Now, why isn't a wearable there to solve that for me now? It's almost like this sense that we kind of have leapt ahead and said, this should solve everything now. And our goal is to really keep up with that and to stay in line with that optimism. I think that if we focus on solving those real problems, those legitimate problems that are easily articulated in a sentence, they're authentic problems, the wearable space can do some really amazing things and can bring the power of the internet to everything we do.
Are you thinking of information displays that a motorcycle rider would need that a car driver or somebody else wouldn't need? For instance, I know there's 3 roads into my house, and there's one that the motorcyclists all love because it has a lot of turns and it's fairly quiet. Would you say, hey, there's a great motorcycle route to where you want to go? It'll take you an extra 15 minutes, but you'll have more fun?
Yeah, we've had some great conversations with app developers. We're kind of getting ready to seed our SDK. But basically the idea would be is to both have Android and iPhone apps, as well as apps for the Android platform on the helmet that would do things like that. So one of the apps that was proposed that we're looking closely at right now is and I would love this in a car too, but it's awesome for a bike. You can basically take all of your errands, put them into the app, and then it'll optimize them based on if you want to completely avoid cars altogether. And just maybe hit the twisties on your way there, or whatever it is that you want to do. It'll organize them based on your preferences, and if traffic changes, it'll reorganize them on the fly. Or let's say you go get your haircut and it takes an extra hour, and let's say now you're in rush hour, it'll just automatically re-optimize your route to help you run your errands in a better way. I've thought about this a lot, is that our team has really given a lot of attention to GPS navigation can be doing so much more for the user. Right now, it's basically a single function thing. It gets you from point A to point B. And I can't tell you how many times I have taken a wrong turn because my GPS, I wasn't able to map on what I was seeing to my actual world. It could be doing so much more, and I think the solution to that starts with human factors.
When you say human factors, what do you mean by that?
By human factors, I mean human-centered design, so that you start with the human. You don't start with the technology and look for places to impose that technology and then say, well, hey, there's solutions that are involved with this. You say, what is the problem that this person is facing, and what are the natural behaviors that they will already engage in? Capitalize on those natural behaviors and solve the problem using technology.
Tell me about what is in the helmet that makes all this work. Is it are you buying this thing from Recon Instruments like Oakley is, or are you doing it all yourself?
So we developed this entire system proprietary in-house, and it's basically it uses an optical combiner with an optical stack, and it creates a virtual image that's see-through, as opposed to Recon Instruments, which is a look-at display. This is a heads-up or see-through display. And then that virtual image floats out in front of you about 15 feet away, and it's a translucent image. The way that it kind of came about was that I was on my motorcycle in Barcelona a couple years back, and I was involved in a motorcycle accident. Where I had looked to my right to read a street sign, and just when I did that, this little red smart car had slammed on the brakes in front of me. So I looked back and I smashed into the back of the car. And about 6 months later, I actually had a dream that I was back on the motorcycle that day, and I was fully expecting to crash, but I had these GPS maps and they were floating out in front of me like this little see-through hologram. And I remember thinking it was so awesome. I woke up and I tried to buy it. Of course, you couldn't buy it because it didn't exist yet. And so we started building exactly that, and we've been through countless iterations to get to what it looked like in that dream. But now it looks exactly like what I saw in that dream.
How because it's not everybody who has the skills to build software and hardware and put it into a product. How did you get to the place where you understood how to do that?
Well, I got to say, I mean, it's just been by surrounding myself with people a lot smarter than me. I mean, that's really the bottom line. That's kind of the magic of Silicon Valley, is that there's no shortage of people that are brilliant and energetic and willing to kind of go out on a limb and take a risk. I mean, go out on the limb because that's where the fruit is. And I think it's really been a fantastic journey for us all, and we've had to just kind of learn things. I mean, part of our culture at Skully is about
how many people work there?
So we have 7 people in total. We have 3 design resources in Nice, France, and then the rest of our core team here in Silicon Valley. But what's great about the team is that they're able to become an expert in something very, very quickly by focus. So you don't have to become an expert in the entire field of, let's say, optics. But what you do have to do is say, what are the key things that matter to us? And then how do I learn everything about those things to execute quickly and to iterate? And we have no fear around iteration. We 3D print probably 30 parts a day. And we just make stuff and break it, and we just keep going.
Something obviously is happening with computers to make a 49-gram, wearable computer possible. How did you find all the components and all the technology that you need to build your dream?
It's really, really amazing that, like particularly with glass, that you could think of like the early PCs, that they're these giant monstrosities, and now you can literally wear them like glasses. It's really amazing. There's a lot of consumer devices out there that you can look at and say, how did they do it? How do we stand on the shoulders of giants and sort of look at?
But there haven't been a lot of wearables today.
Well,
we have a few examples now, but
yeah.
Until the last year, there really wasn't. And so something is going on in the OEM world that makes these components possible to purchase and put together by a startup of 7 people. Because obviously you didn't make the projector, you didn't make the chip in there, you didn't make the RAM, you didn't make the camera.
Well, it's interesting though, because there have been a lot of these devices. It's just not in the consumer space. They've been in the military. And so now the question is, now the consumers are sort of ready for this. They're getting there. And I mean, people are still a little bit uncomfortable about glass. We still get the question like, isn't it distracting? It's the opposite of distracting to wear this display, because it allows you to see 360 degrees around you. It's like having ninjas all around you, and you can see the ninjas to both sides and the one back while you're watching the ninja in front. It's the opposite of distracting. But what's interesting about the space is that we're going to these suppliers that have traditionally supplied for only the military, and they've been really, cost prohibitive and weight constrained and all these other problems. And we've said, okay, if we were going to do that in a consumer way, how would we sort of demilitarize it and make it something that can sort of meet the appetites of the consumer?
Yeah, that's really, really cool. How much capital did it take to build your company, to build a product like this?
It's getting cheaper and cheaper to do this every day. We've spent about $250,000 to get the company to where it is now, that might sound like a lot, but I mean, for what we've done, and now having 35,000 people signed up to do pre-orders, it's pretty significant. So you can generate a lot of value on very little money by bringing in smart people. And I think location. It's definitely important to be in a place where you can surround yourself with people who are willing to kind of take a risk, work cheaply. But we're getting real close here to releasing in the spring, and it's a really exciting time for Skully.
It's going to be a big year for wearables next year. That's why I'm interviewing Gary Shapiro, who runs the Consumer Electronics Show. Yeah. I'm interviewing him at South by Southwest, and it's going to be an interesting year to see what evolves in this world. I think you guys are smart because you're not trying to go against Google, because that's going to be a thankless task for a lot of startups. You don't have the marketing distribution reach that Google has. Right. But Google's not going to do a helmet for motorcycle riders. So if Rocky wants a new helmet, he has to buy a Skully helmet. Rocky's a motorcycle enthusiast. So Where do you think this is going in the future? Are you going to put sensors like radar in the helmet to warn people that something's coming at them that they don't expect? 'Cause I don't know that you need that in a motorcycle, do you?
Well, at this point,
In my Prius, I love it, but
yeah, I mean, IR, LiDAR, radar, all those are definitely, they have potential. But right now, there's such a lack of situational awareness on a motorcycle. And there are these sort of accoutrements that we take for granted as motorists in cars, like just plain GPS navigation to know where you're going, or a really good mirror system that gives you a lot of awareness behind you. But now, like the first test drive we did with the 180 rear view camera, I actually drove in a car with it. And what was crazy is that I saw out the back window and the sides at the same time. I mean, it's like amazing what you can see when you look at sort of what's the core problem that we're trying to solve, and how do we really generate some significant value with the tech.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where you guys take this display and what information services you're using. Is there a cell phone in there? Or are you talking out to the cloud as you drive along? Or?
So its conduit to the internet is via Bluetooth to the smartphone.
Okay.
So it has a standalone Android system with the maps on it already, and those maps will automatically update when you're synced to your smartphone or in your garage via Wi-Fi. But what's nice is that you can sort of leverage that power of the internet, and you don't have to have tape a cell phone to the side of your head. But it definitely has a lot of capability. The only thing that we kind of left off was the modem, and that's really for power considerations.
So it's all self-contained. There's a battery in here, and
exactly,
and it's running. Can I play Spotify music then? Tell me about the platform that you're building, and how open is that to putting other things into the glass?
So we're planning on heavily supporting our SDK, and so that's going to allow people to develop all different kinds of apps for it. But right now, you can already just stream Pandora or Spotify via Bluetooth to the speakers in the helmet. So that's already a possibility. If you want some kind of visual aspect to it, or to basically render that information on the Android platform in the helmet, there'll be app adaptations that people will develop to do that. And we'll seed the development community with a few. But we're really excited about what already our early adopters are talking about in terms of app development.
There's a microphone in the helmet as well?
Yeah, there's a boom mic in the helmet.
Okay, and so can I make phone calls and do all that?
Yep, you can make phone calls. We're not going to do any text-based stuff. So our entire UI is all translucent elements, so the persistent rear view, and you can see it in the video as well, is a rear view camera feed, 180 degrees. It's always there, so you can always do a quick saccade or glance of your eye and see it. And then any UI element will be translucent over the top of that and won't obstruct it. And there will be no like text messages scrolling across or anybody emailing. It's all about situational awareness, and that actually detracts from situational awareness. What we're trying to do with this wearable device in particular is to honor the moment. Not detract or take away from the moment, but to serve the moment and help the user experience the moment more richly and fully.
Interesting. One of my friends already got a ticket for wearing glass while driving. Where do you think the law is going with these new computer devices? Because there is some confusion in the marketplace. Are these going to be allowed while operating motor vehicles or not?
I'm actually encouraged that legislators are looking at this, and I think emergent policy is going to do well to address that. There aren't distracting displays that are sending me emails on a heads-up display while I'm trying to drive. I think that is frankly irresponsible. It's not a good use of wearable technology, and so. But we cite a study that was done as a collaboration between NHTSA and the Department of Transportation about the helpfulness of heads-up displays. And when they're done correctly, they can vastly improve reaction time and help the rider be safer. And so we're very much about that. And this emergent policy, I'm actually encouraged in that it's going to ensure that people don't release stuff in the market that gives this a bad name. That they're only going to let stuff through that really actually has an eye to human factors and solves the problem it purports to solve without introducing new problems into the mix. I think any good sort of wearable technology it has a net negative amount of problems that it introduces to your life. Meaning, it doesn't introduce, if it solves 2 problems for me, it doesn't introduce 3, or it doesn't introduce a big one. You know?
No, it's real interesting. I've been driving with my glass, and I don't care so much. I'm taking some risks that I know I am. But I find it's less distracting than looking down at the nav system in my car, and that's legal. So why is this illegal? I hope the lawmakers figure the right combination out. What else do we need to know about Skully?
We are growing, and we're looking to hire some software people. Software is really, really important to us as a company. I mean, we've definitely built a hardware that serves the software, and we're looking towards creating a larger platform. It's a very flexible system. There's a lot of things and a lot of problems that we can solve with it, and I think that really starts with the software. For us to adapt this now to other use cases in the future, it's going to come down to just the best of the best in software.
And who invested in it? And are you looking for other investment partners?
We actually are raising right now. We are in the middle of a funding round. We're angel funded, and we're basically trying to sort of raise as little as we need to get to market and generate that initial revenue pulse, and then probably look towards VC money at that point.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, where do we learn more about it?
Go to skullyhelmets.com.
It's SKULLY?
Yep.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.